Hi, everybody, Amazon sellers. This is Chris McCabe. I'm a former Amazonian. I consult Amazon sellers from ecommercechris.com, my website. I'm former seller performance, and I'm here with Peter Kearns of 180 Commerce today to talk about the Prosper Show. Peter's also a former Amazonian.
And former Amazonian. Was there for about 4 years.
Yep. So coming up March 23rd to 25th. You are moderating the seller performance panel on the 24th, right?
Yeah, the seller performance product compliance panel. The title is Seller Performance Product Compliance, the latest Amazon enforcement issues we all need to understand. It takes place on Tuesday, March 24th from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. This is a great panel. I've participated as a panelist, and this is my first year moderating it. I'm excited to do that, but it's a panel that we've had every year at Prosper, and it's definitely one of those panels that really kind of peels back the layer of the onion for Amazon and some of those frustration kinds of areas, like dealing with seller performance and account suspensions and all the latest stuff that is really vital to your account performance. So it's definitely one of those panels that you should check out, participate in.
Yeah, I think this will be the most interesting one we've ever had because there's been so many changes over the last year, and because a lot of people are having many more problems than they ever thought they could with communication with seller performance. There's emails that don't get answered. People call other teams and say, what happened to my appeal to seller performance? Not just account suspensions. I mean, even just top selling ASINs. So, I mean, this does impact everyone and many Prosper attendees that aren't suspended or even have never been suspended, because seller performance is like a gateway, right? You have to go through them for so many important things.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's a really challenging space because when you think about the dynamics in the Amazon marketplace, there's millions of third-party sellers. And Amazon has to build tools and support processes and teams in place to be able to address all of those sellers. And it doesn't necessarily work that well because not every seller is created equal. So it can be really challenging. Also, the dynamics that's been going on the marketplace around, product compliance, especially around safety. You're seeing more issues around intellectual property infringement, counterfeit, things like that. So, and then you've seen over the last couple of years how information has leaked from Amazon, by associates, et cetera. And so Amazon's had to really shore up their processes, which I think has been, one of the main reasons why you're seeing some of these challenges of getting the communication, getting the right team to respond. It's really a big, it's kind of an ongoing issue.
Yeah, the information leakage. I mean, that's something I'm covering the day before with the workshop I'm doing with Liam McHugh, the how to defend yourself against black hat attacks. And I'm sure it'll come up on the performance panel as well. But yeah, you're right. Managers have changed roles or been designated to work with new teams, with new investigators, because there was some bad behavior, some hard to explain things were happening, right? And it made it difficult for people to know how to appeal something that they couldn't troubleshoot themselves.
Yeah, especially, and then you have to start looking at the fact that they're limiting access to information, which means that a team that might, get your inquiry, either email or phone call or chat, they're not going to have visibility into it, whereas before they might have.
Yeah.
So lots of fun things happening in the space.
I know. Tool restrictions and tools permissions. That's one major change from last year's seller performance panel. That's something that was much more widespread over the last 12 months. So I'm sure that'll come up. That'll come up in our FAQ for that day, or somebody will ask about that if they're aware of it. A lot of sellers aren't aware of the internal changes, and hopefully we're there to clarify it.
Yeah, it's always really good. I mean, so those people who have never been to Prosper and have not participated in this panel, the way we structure it is we start with a predetermined set of questions that myself and the panelists will figure out beforehand, and then we open it up to the floor and take questions that way if we have time. Really, one of the things that we want to make sure is that we're covering really good, rich topics that can really speak to the whole audience, as opposed to going down a rabbit hole for one particular seller situation.
Right. Right.
And I think one of the things that is interesting this year is that a lot of the things that have been going on Amazon, I feel like things have, for the most part, kind of calmed down in terms of like, they're really focusing on brand protection. They're really focusing on, product compliance and safety, which is all stuff that they've been doing over the last couple of years. And I feel like this is kind of the year where they're going to continue to just fine tune as opposed to introducing new tools. So I think having a good understanding of what and why they're doing the things that they're doing will be really helpful for sellers to communicate with Amazon with their cases and the situations that they're seeing in their accounts every day.
Yeah, I think it's always been a great panel because attendees have told me that it's education heavy and it promotes discussion, in-depth discussion of individual issues, but like you said, without going down a rabbit hole of one particular problem that everyone's struggling with that's permeable, that's an issue at that moment that might not be an issue all year long. And it's good that you're moderating. It'll be your responsibility, of course, to control the flow of, I mean, everybody wants to jump in. Everyone wants to say something. But these topics are dense. There's a lot to be said about them. So it's going to be a challenge for you.
Yeah, they're dense. The one thing is that, the panelists, former Amazonians and experts are really knowledgeable in the space. The thing that I've noticed though, is I've worked with every single one of you guys in the same space. And there's not one of the biggest challenges with all of this is that there's not one right answer. And, in my experience, like I've done certain things where other consultants or even, Amazonians like, oh, well, that doesn't work, but then it does work. Or this situation, but that doesn't work, but it does work. So and that's the one challenge I think with this is that there's so much ambiguity in every situation. And that is so frustrating because if it's just, as a business owner and you're running your Amazon business, you don't want to hear about ambiguity. You want to know exactly what's going on and what the path is to fix that problem, whether it's a compliance issue, whether it's a safety issue, whether it's a performance issue around, your shipping or whatever. It's just, and that's the frustrating thing about this is that it's so ambiguous. Amazon is they keep things so close to the chest, to the vest, and it's just that's just, hopefully there'll be people there at Amazon from Amazon. Usually there are in attendance, and they take a lot of the feedback that we provide during this panel and try to use it to improve. So
I certainly hope so.
That'll be the case. Yeah.
Yeah. But I really hope attendees, I know it's towards the end of that afternoon, but it's always well attended for a reason. I hope attendees make time for it, because it also gives them an opportunity to kind of scrutinize experts like me and think about, at some point you bear the responsibility, if you need to hire out help, of figuring out who has the best help. So, and that's on you. I mean, it's your business. Obviously you're hiring somebody for professional services. They have to help you in exchange for that fee. But at the same time, you have to take the first step. You have to do your homework and your research and figure out, do these people know what they're talking about? I mean, most of us, all of us are welcoming questions because we want the opportunity to show you that we do know what we're talking about. And on your side, you need to, is the strategy you had in mind lining up with what this person's saying? If your area of the biggest pain point comes up, does it make sense to you what they're saying to do? So it's shared, responsibility on the consultant side and on the seller side, because after all, it's your business. That's why you're at Prosper to begin with. So,
absolutely. And it's a nice, the panel presents itself in a nice way where the audience can really see kind of the different areas of expertise, because everyone has a different background and different insights and different approaches. So I think that's another thing, is getting the POV, the point of view from each different consultant expert is really, really valuable, because oftentimes, like what I might say something that's part of that resonates with the audience, but then you might pick up on it and add to it. And so I think that's one of the nice things I like about it, is that it tends to be a dialogue amongst the panelists, as opposed to just, robotically answering questions. It tends to be a pretty rich dialogue where we're picking up where others left off and really trying to add to it to really give the audience some good tangible information that they can take
Mm-hmm.
home with them, immediately start implementing in their business that day. That's really the goal of this, is to answer those
Yeah.
questions and provide the information that they can start using on a regular basis.
Yeah. And you will be hearing from people with strong opinions, especially on this particular area of concern. They will be passionate about, they'll be passionate about the material, and they will have strong opinions about it. And so there's also some, I guess, entertainment value to that as well.
I mean, it's definitely a lively discussion for sure. And that's the thing. There are definitely, instances where, certain scenarios in the past and had particular outcomes, and that, that's what people are feeling passionate about in terms of the path forward or
Right.
a particular answer to a question. Ultimately what we're here for is to help kind of shed some light onto this black box of Amazon seller performance compliance. Why does Amazon do what it does? Why do they think the way that they think? Why do they take the behaviors that they take the behaviors? Then how do you figure out, what's the right path forward for, evaluating your current situation, how to solve for it? When do you bring in a hired expert? Those sorts of things. And ideally, that's what this panel is really, can achieve for you, is just kind of help answer all those questions and clear the smoke, if you will, from the fire that can be Amazon sometimes.
I agree. Yeah. So if you haven't gotten a Prosper ticket yet, it's Tuesday the 24th, the Seller Performance Panel. The workshops are a day before, 4 p.m. on Tuesday the 24th. And you can watch and listen to Peter asking people like me questions about what it was like to work at Amazon and how we've solved problems for sellers over the years. I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm glad you're moderating. I'm glad we've got all the smartest brains in one panel to talk about something this difficult.
It's definitely a good group of people. I mean, like, the knowledge that's going to be on that stage is it's going to be strong, really strong. I'm excited for it.
Looking forward to it. So thanks for joining me today. I'll see you next month in Vegas, Peter, and I'll see everybody else at the Prosper Show.
Good.
Yeah. Talk to you soon.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone.